From Royal Communications Incorporated, good evening and welcome to King's News Broom 45-minute news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Thursday, March 5, 2026, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the Airlines House of Representatives pushed for former President George Weah appearance to address plenary on key national issues as it bestowed upon former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf a special legislative citation of distinguished honor. National Import Incident Management System discloses report of 2,190 suspected cases, with 8 deaths since mpox outbreak in 2024. System Chairperson Fiona Smith calls for emergency assistance to affected households. And also in the news tonight, Liberia National Police force to court 54-year-old Mohammed Sharif for allegedly operating unregistered security organization, National Fuller Community Security Services. Away from home, more than 200 people, including 70 children, have been killed after a landslide caused a collapse in a mining area in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The government says these plus the news bulletin voices of those making the news are our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture. We join Sam Andrews with the news bulletin.
Members of the House of Representatives have unanimously agreed former President George Weah to address the legislature on key national issues. Former President Weah's invitation will follow former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's appearance before that august body, something many described as unprecedented. Speaking to reporters Thursday, Montserrado County District 9 Representative Francis Afoko confirmed that former President George Weah will be invited, but sounded a caveat to the leadership of the House of Representatives to accord former President George Weah the same opportunities accorded former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Representative Francis Afoko noted that the appearance of former President George Weah is necessary in ensuring a balanced and open governance system. In a related development, the plenary of the House of Representatives, through House Speaker Richard Cohn, have conferred a special legislative citation of distinguished honor on former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for what they described as symbolic level of national duty and work done over the years for the Liberian people. This special honor was conferred on Thursday following the former president's appearance before members of the House of Representatives. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was recently extended an invitation by the leadership of the House of Representatives to serve as guest lecturer during its March 5th session. Presenting the honor, House Speaker Richard Cohn expressed appreciation and admiration of Ellen's work over the years and assured her the legislature readiness to address key instruments for the advancement of the country. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says, despite excruciating circumstances, she did extremely well during her 12 years at the Liberian presidency. She noted that she served the country with distinction and honesty and owed no apology to anybody for anything. The former president, who spoke before members of the House of Representatives Thursday, made several recommendations to the lawmakers, including amending Chapter 4, Article 27B of the Liberian Constitution. She also expressed concern about the Liberianization policy, noting that there have been several policies and actions of the past that restricted certain areas of business to Liberians, but such policies are being respected today. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf further noted that it is observed that certain non-citizen groups have taken over critical areas of site on beaches and waterways to enable them extract valuable materials, thereby causing serious environmental damage. According to her, no country will allow such thing to happen, adding, Liberia should never allow it. Since the outbreak in 2024, Liberia has recorded a total of 1,634 confirmed cases, with only 14 currently active in several parts throughout the country. The chairperson of the National Mpox Incident Management System, Finda Smith, disclosed that 2,190 suspected cases reported. There have been just 8 deaths. Madam Smith spoke when she at the launching program of the World Food Program Emergency Assistance for Mpox affected households at the Ministry of Health in Painesville Thursday. Also speaking, the country director of the World Food Program, Abatsi Amenyo, emphasized the necessity of ensuring that no household faces hunger while following isolation measures. Amenyo indicated that the World Food Program will collaborate with the Ministry of Health to provide 3 months of food assistance from March to May, targeting over 2,000 households. The launching of the feeding program for Mpox suspected cases was attended by several partner organizations, including the Africa Centers for Disease Control, the United Nations Children's Fund, and Médecins Sans Frontières, as well as the Armed Forces of Liberia, amongst others. The Liberia National Police has forwarded to the Monrovia City Court 54-year-old Mohammed Sharif. Mr. Sharif, who is awaiting judicial action, was charged with paramilitary activities for allegedly operating an unregistered community security organization in violation of Liberian laws. According to the police, Mr. Sharif is a resident of Lokin Town, was charged under Chapter 11, Section 11.5 of the Penal Law of Liberia. His charge followed investigation launched after a February 13 incident where several individuals were reportedly seen wearing mixed-color military-style security uniforms under the banner of National Fulad Community Security Services. The police said during the investigation, it determined that the National Fulad Community Security Services was not registered as a private security firm with the Liberian government. However, the investigators also reported that the organization has an estimated 70 members and operates without a clearly defined leadership structure, alleging giving Mohammed Sharif broad authority over its activities. President Joseph Boakai has issued Executive Order Number 160, constituting a technical team. The committee is expected to enforce and implement the presidential decision on the long-standing land dispute in Nima County, particularly in the Ganta area. According to an executive mansion statement, the executive order establishes a national and professional mechanism aimed at ensuring the peaceful, lawful, and coordinated implementation of the government's decision regarding the dispute, which has persisted for decades and continues to pose challenges to peace, security, and orderly development in the region. Under the executive order, the committee will be responsible for enforcing and technically implementing previous presidential decisions, the findings of the 2010 Nima County Presidential Committee reports, and relevant rulings of the Economic Community of West African States Code of Justice. The release issued Thursday quote President Bouazizi as emphasizing that the establishment of the committee follows extensive consultations with representatives of the disputing parties and other key stakeholders with the goal of ensuring a transparent and inclusive process that promotes lasting peace and stability in Nimba County. The Liberian government, in collaboration with the African Development Bank, has launched a new research and analytical exercise aimed at strengthening governance and increasing revenue from the country's mining and natural resource sector. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Finance Minister for Fiscal Affairs, Anthony Myers, disclosed that the initiative is a sane development by the government and the African Development Bank to enhance domestic resources mobilization and assist with technical expertise in the tax sector. According to Minister Myers, the project seeks to maximize revenue from Liberia's mining sector and other strategic natural resource areas while also improving governance and reducing revenue leakages within the system. Minister Anthony Myers claimed that the move would focus on promoting evidence-based policy reforms, ensuring that government regulations, policies, and proposed laws are backed by strong research and data before they are implemented. The former president of the Liberia Council of Churches has called on the Liberian government to take seize of the mass displacement created as a result of demolition of homes in Monrovia and its environs. Bishop Cotto Brown, who is also the general overseer of the Apostolic Pentecostal Church International, said the national legislature needs to intervene in order to stop the sufferings being experienced by ordinary people made homeless as a result of demolition of their homes. Addressing a press conference in Broadville outside Monrovia Thursday, Bishop Cotto Brown said President Joseph Boakai should consider himself as the comforter-in-chief and use his executive powers in curbing the suffering of the people made homeless by the demolition of their properties. According to Bishop Cotto Brown, there is a need for the government to be more compassionate in enforcing the ruling of the courts. And the National Food Assistance Agency has launched its 5-year strategic plan aimed at providing food for the needy and ensuring zero hunger in the country. Speaking at the launching ceremony in Monrovia Thursday, the institution Director General, Boakai Salif, disclosed that the plan, when implemented, will ensure that nobody goes to bed hungry. According to Salif, the plan is also intended to ensure that no child go to school and obtain education on empty stomach because it has the propensity to impede education. The launching ceremony, which was held in Monrovia, was graced by a cross session of officials of government, local and international partners.
Sam Andrews with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories we follow in tonight. House of Representatives pushed for former President George Weah appearance to address plenary on key national issues as it bestowed upon former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf a special legislative citation of distinguished honor. National Mpox Incident Management System discloses report of 2,190 suspected cases with 8 deaths since Mpox outbreak in 2024. System chairperson Finda Smith calls for emergency assistance to affected households. And also in the news tonight, Liberia National Police force to court 54-year-old Mohammed Sharif for allegedly operating unregistered security organization National Fuller Community Security Services. Away from home, more than 200 people, including 70 children, have been killed after a landslide caused a collapse in a mining area in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The government says Iran's military has said it has targeted the headquarters of Iranian Kurdish forces in the northern Iraq, stepping up strikes in Kurdish regions in both Iran and Iraq. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Members of the House of Representatives have unanimously agreed to invite former President George Weah to address the legislature on key national issues. Former President Weah's invitation will follow former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's appearance before that August body, something many described as unprecedented. Speaking of reporters Thursday, Moserado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko confirmed that Weah will be invited, but said or signed a caveat to the leadership of the House of Representatives to call Weah same opportunities accorded Ellen.
Responsibility of Mr. Weah will be coming, the former president will be coming to the 55th National Legislature. It is a responsibility of the now Speaker, Bishop Speaker, and Choir Director Thomas Fowler. It is a responsibility to exhibit the honorable leadership that will give the due respect to President Weah, just as we did today to Madam Sirleaf. Contrary to that, I mean, the speaker know what the consequences will be.
What it might be? What will it be?
Everything here is legislative. Everything here is legislative.
Moserado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko. In a related development, plenary of the House of Representatives through House Speaker Rachel Cohn have conferred a special legislative citation of distinguished honor on former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for what they called symbolic level of national duty and work done over the years for Liberians. The special honor was conferred on Thursday following the former president's appearance before members of the House. Presenting the honor, House Speaker Rachel Cohn expressed appreciation and admiration of Ellen's work over the years and assured her the legislature's readiness to address key instruments for the advancement of the country.
Today, the legislature will confer upon you a special legislative citation of distinguished honor, which we, as lawmakers, have taken it as a symbolic of your level of duty and work you've done for the Liberian people. Madam former President, with all due respect, we actually admire your work. I want to say you thank you to the Liberian people, not forget your goodness in the dedication to Liberia. Madam former President, your presence here today reminds us that leadership is more than just about holding office. It is about leaving behind ideas and institutions that contribute to guide the nation long after one's journey. To address on the important questions surrounding Liberia's liberalization policy, the involving discourse on citizenship for people of Negro descent, land rights and acquisition, and the governance framework of our capital city, Monrovia, speaks to some of the key issues confronting our nation today. These are not just legal or administrative matters. They are questions that strike at the very heart of who we are as a people and how we define belonging, opportunity, and national sovereignty. The reflection today reminds us that nations must constantly examine their laws and policy to ensure that they reflect both the aspiration of their citizens and the reality of the changing time. The liberalization policy historically designed to protect and empower Liberian participation in the economic life of the nation must continue to evolve in ways that safeguard the nation's interests or national interests while fostering inclusive growth and opportunity.
House Speaker Richard Coon, that's speaking when he honored former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Meanwhile, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says despite excruciating circumstances, she did extremely well during her 12 years at the Liberian presidency. She noted that she served the country with dedication and honesty and on no apology to anyone for anything.
I know that there will be many who applaud this initiative, and there will be many others who may question it. I also know that some will say, in our usual Liberian way, she said for 12 years, why didn't she do all these things? Let me say in response to that, and in closing, that I did my best under the extenuating circumstances and conditions that we all know so very well. I served my country with dedication and with honesty. I therefore make no apology to anybody for anything. And I make no claims. My record stands by me, and history will be the judge.
She also expressed concern about the liberalization policy, noting that there have been several policies and actions of the past that restricted certain areas of business to Liberians, but such policies are being disrespected today.
First comment has to do with Article 27B of our Constitution that says, I quote, in order to preserve, foster, and maintain the positive Liberian culture, values, and character, only persons who are Negroes or of Negro descent shall qualify by birth or by naturalization to be citizens of Liberia, unquote. Mr. Speaker, Liberia today is above where we were on our independence in 1847. Therefore, we must now make those structural changes that propel us to join emerging African countries that have left us behind. As you may recall, we tried in the past to do constitutional reform. Former interim president, Dr. Amos Sawyer, led the committee that made tremendous progress, but that racist provision was left intact. My plea now is that you consider the necessary amendment to Chapter 4, Article 27B of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Legislator, my second comment has to do with land. This issue is causing serious problems in the country.
Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf there speaking when she appeared before members of the House of Representatives earlier on today. Since the outbreak in 2024, Liberia has recorded a total of 1,634 confirmed cases, with only 14 currently active in several parts throughout the country. The chairperson of the National Mpox Incident Management System, FINA, Smith, disclosed that 2,190 suspected cases were reported, and there have been just 8 deaths. Madam Smith spoke during the launching of the World Food Program Emergency Assistance for Mpox affected households held at the Ministry of Health in Painesville.
And this update is as of the 3rd of March 2026. So currently we have recorded since the outbreak in 2024, 1,634 confirmed cases, of which we have just 14 active. Out of 1,191 suspected cases that was reported, we have had 8 deaths. So, of course, from the sequencing results, the Bureau State recorded a clade 2A and clade 2B as a circulating strain in the country. So, for the active cases that we have geographically, we just have to point out those countries that are currently being active outbreak. And I also state the districts which those cases are in. So for most of Rhino, we have active cases in Bushel and Central Morville. And for Nema County, we have Cycling, Man, and Tabitha. For Riverside County, Central C is our district that is currently infected. And then for my Kahata, for Great Parts of District 4 and District 3A, for County Jordan District, and for Broom County CG. So we have made significant progress with a total of 1,612 recovery cases. As I said, we have currently 14 active cases.
Also speaking, the country director of the World Food Program, RBC Komlai Amewon, emphasized the necessity of ensuring that no household faces hunger while following isolation measures. Amewon indicated that the WFP will collaborate with the Ministry of Health to provide 3 months of food assistance from March to May, targeting over 2,000 households in need.
For too many families, isolation heightens their vulnerability to hunger. Yet, no household should face hunger while complying with isolation measures. Our responsibility is to ensure that families can safely isolate without compromising their dignity, health, or access to food. It is in this context that WFP, the largest humanitarian organization in the world fighting hunger worldwide, is working closely with the Ministry of Health and its technical department, including the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, provide emergency food assistance to Mpox-affected households who are facing challenges to meet their basic food needs. In fact, there are other concurrent outbreaks, namely measles and Lassa fever, and the affected people are also in isolation. There was a question on whether they will be assisted too. And the Director General of the NFIL also mentioned this during our consultation. Let me assure you, they will be assisted as well as part of this initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to acknowledge the good collaboration with Africa CDC together with WHO, especially their role in coordinating the continental response and the financial contribution provided by the MasterCard Foundation.
Country Director of the Waffle Program, ABC Komola Amewon. Earlier, you heard the voice of the chairperson of the National Mpox Incident Management System, Fina Smith. A reminder you listen to King's News Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories we following tonight. House of Representatives push for former President George Weah appearance to address plenary on key national issues as it bestowed upon former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf a special legislative citation of distinguished honor. National Mpox Incident Management System discloses report of 2,190 suspected cases, with 8 deaths since Mpox outbreak in 2024. System chairperson Fina Smith calls for emergency assistance to affected households. National Liberia National Police forwards to court 54-year-old man Mohammed Sharif for allegedly operating unregistered security organization National Fuller Community Security Services. Away from home, more than 200 people, including 70 children, have been killed after a landslide caused a collapse in a mining area in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the government says. Iran's military has said it has targeted the headquarters of Iranian Kurdish forces in the northern Iraq, stepping up strikes in Kurdish regions in both Iran and Iraq. We'll take a break to be back with more voices, including our foreign news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The government of Liberia, in collaboration with the African Development Bank, has launched a new research and analytical exercise aimed at strengthening governance and increasing revenue from the country's mining and natural resource sectors. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Finance Minister for Fiscal Affairs, Anthony Myers, disclosed that the initiative is a scheme developed by the government and AFDB to enhance domestic resources mobilization and assist with technical expertise in the taxation sector.
Now we are here today to launch a research and analytical exercise to support that project. And as the title says, evidence-based policy reforms. We in government, especially like the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, we routinely, on a regular basis, issue regulations. We raise bills and send it to the legislature to be enacted into law. We issue policy statements. In order to implement those policies, or to even have the basis for issuing regulations, for undertaking reforms, or introducing legislations, you should be sure that those measures will have the needed impacts. And in order to be sure that policies and laws and reforms will have impact, you have to have evidence. What are the key players in the sector? What are they doing? What are their issues? What are they concerned about? What sort of measure will they be more responsive to? And which one you will face compliance challenges. The methodology for this research was carefully selected based on the issues that we identified. The selection of the research team, we were clear that we either rely on experts from Africa who have done similar research, or if they are external experts, be they Korean or others, they should be people who have experience doing similar work in Africa. And our team leader from the KRPF, we had a short meeting with him this morning when they have an introductory meeting with the minister, and he indicated that he had prior experience in about 10 other African countries, though he's Korean. So he brings about his academic background, the fact that he is and expert academic and practical expert in taxation, but you also have practical research experience in Africa.
Deputy Finance Minister for Fiscal Affairs, Antonin Myers. Former president of the Liberia Council of Churches has called on the Liberian government to take cease of mass displacement created as a result of demolition of homes in Monrovia and its environs. Bishop Cotto Brown, who is also the general overseer of the Apostolic Pentecostal Church International, said the national legislature need to intervene in order to halt the suffering being experienced by ordinary people who are made homeless as a result of demolition of their homes. Addressing a press conference in Broom, Bishop Brown said President Boakai should consider himself as the comforter-in-chief and use his executive power in curbing the suffering of people made homeless by the demolition.
Somebody has been living somewhere 60 years, and somebody come and say, you got what, monarchy? I think the government needs to see all of this as a serious security issue and address it. I don't think it's in the interest of the country if it's provocation or if it's whatever sinister. I think it's something that we shouldn't take for granted. It's unacceptable. After all these years, you got 180 acres somewhere and by the main road, and you do nothing about it, and people, build their houses, and they're trying to make way for the living. We don't hope for chaos. That we really seen enough. We're seeing chaos. We don't need any more chaos. That's why the government needs to be sensitive. The government needs to calculate well. It's not everything that is necessary is expedient. And this person got 500 acres this way, or got 200 acres this way. The government has to be compassionate. The Liberians who voted for Joseph Boakai's government expect that this government will be compassionate. Sometimes you temper justice with mercy. And we're not saying people should not respect the law. We're not saying people should disregard the law. But there are instances for where somebody's built a house and lives over 40 years. And somebody just come and they break it down. Somebody may be in breach of the law, but there are other ways that the state can come in and help ordinary Liberians to be able to, the government can engage. We encourage the government to engage. Encourage the government to use all the tools available to it to be able to resolve this issue. We encourage the government to help ensure that we don't have insecurity in our country, that people don't get desperate by all of this, and that this will remain peaceful and secure. We encourage the government of Liberia to do whatever is possible. Some of those people need to be relocated. The government got eminent domain power. They can relocate them. Government can find land somewhere and give other people. Other people who are affected of more wicked, but we got to find a way to show our citizens of compassion. I think it's a bad legacy for President Boakai if he doesn't uphold the rule of law. For someone who's still all his life in government, I think it's on him to ensure that he can uphold the rule of law, for us. So I think that the president will take on that role, comforter-in-chief, with all these crises ongoing, all these challenges, to bring some hope, healing to other Liberians who, you know what it means for you to build a house 50 years, stay somewhere, and you just, and you just break down your house and say, oh, you're not supposed to, yes, true, you're not supposed to build that. But then they build that now. Can we find a way to address that? Yes.
Liberia Council of Churches former President Bishop Cotto Brown, speaking. The National Food Assistance Agency has officially launched its 5-year strategic plan aimed at providing food for the needy and ensuring zero hunger in the country. Speaking at the launching ceremony in Monrovia on Thursday, the NFA Director General Boakai Salif disclosed that the plan, when implemented, will ensure that nobody goes to bed hungry. According to Salif, the plan is also intended to ensure that no child go to school and obtain education on empty stomach because it has the propensity to impede education.
NFAA has an act now which makes it legal, but it has been around since 1970. And one of the things that in our core value that we are stressing will be integrity and inclusion. Knowing the history and seeing the facts from the World Bank, from WFP, from UNDP, from the Ministry of Agriculture, we see that our 5.5 million population, we are told that 2/3 of that is in abject poverty. And one of the reasons for NFAA is to help raise people from that level. Our aim is to not let a child go to sleep hungry or go to school without a meal. Because most of us here, again, like I said, know the feeling. when a child goes to school and haven't eaten. They don't develop, they don't listen. So NFAA stands in that gap to control and straighten up what should be done. Strategic plan is in alignment with the AAID of the government of Liberia. Agriculture as the backbone of the country, we are there to bring farmers and consumers together to help to change the taste and the eating habit of people. Because when you ask a Liberian person, they tell you, say, I have not eaten all day, it's because they have not eaten rice. But we are here to help to change that. In the little time that we've been in position, we have tried to diversify the food that we donate. And we are here today again, while launching this program, is to call on all development partners and individuals to look at the NFAA as that arm where you cannot reach as the last mile, where we will carry the food for you. We want you to thoroughly go through the strategic plan and be critical. Tell us what you think about it, how we can improve, because it's a matter of improving. We'll use the theory of change if we have to.
Director General of the National Food Assistance Agency, Boykai Salif. Away from home, more than 200 people, including 70 children, have been killed after a landslide caused a collapse in a mining area in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the government says. The landslide struck Rubaya, the country's biggest source of cotton, and old Vatad in electronics industry in the rebel control east on Tuesday following heavy rains. In a statement, the mines ministry blamed the tragedy on M23 rebels and said they were allowing illegal mining without proper safety standards. The M23 are yet to comment, but a source in the Rubayan told the BBC the collapse was caused by attacks from the government forces and only 6 had died. The government has not responded to the claim, and Iran's military has said it has targeted the headquarters of Iranian Kurdish forces in the northern Iran, stepping up strikes on Kurdish regions in both Iran and Iraq. The military said it attacked Kurdish groups opposed to the Islamic Revolution in Iraq. Kurdistan with 3 missiles. 1 person was killed and 3 injured in the strike on Tuesday and Wednesday, the BBC has confirmed. Tehran is intensifying its attacks on Iranian Kurdish groups in Iraq and made reports that U.S. President Donald Trump wants them to join the fight against Iran as U.S. and Israel strikes continue. Well, on that note, that's how we come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. House of Representatives pushed for former President George Weah appearance to address plenary on key national issues as it bestowed upon former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf a special legislative citation of distinguished honor. National Mpox Incident Management System discloses report of 2,190 suspected cases with 8 deaths since Mpox outbreak in 2024. System chairperson Fina Smith calls for emergency assistance to affected households. You also heard in the news Liberia National Police forwards to court 54-year-old man Mohammed Sharif for allegedly operating unregistered security organization National Fuller Community Security Services. Away from home, more than 200 people, including 70 children, have been killed after a landslide caused a collapse in a mining area in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The government says Iran's military has said it has targeted the headquarters of Iranian Kurdish forces in the northern Iraq, stepping up its track on Kurdish regions in both Iran and Iraq. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who help in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Sam Andrews brought you the news bulletin. Frank Diallo Swen sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shema Dale. I presented. Thanks for listening and watching.